All right, perfect. Let's get this started. Hi, everyone. Hi, Abby. Just saw you jump in. I'm looking forward to this. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about parenting with good attachment. Unicorn Phoenix. Wow, that's quite a name. Two creatures in one. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about parenting with better attachment because when we learn good attachment for ourselves, we learn good relationships. We want to pass it on to our kids. That's usually what drags a lot of us into the attachment circles anyway to start learning about it. So, thanks, guys. I see you coming in. Patricia, Louisa, awesome. Good people coming in here. Parenting tonight. How to parent with good attachment, how to boost your child's attachment, complications you got to watch out for, all kinds of good things that you're going to have to worry about with the kids, but also good things that you can do. I want to give people solutions and give people things to do with their kids. Kids are near and dear to my heart. I've got four of them myself, my wife and I. And one of the number one things I learned when I started learning about attachment, I applied it to my kids and I started living that. And man, the results have been great. I want to share with you guys tonight all the good things I've done with my kids. I want to show you how to do them with your kids. It's going to be real good. If you guys could like this channel, hit the likes, share it, boost it so that more people come in. I want to get more parents on board with this because the better families we can create for kids, the better things get for all of us. So, parenting with attachment. Are you guys ready? You guys ready? Like it as we go. Drop me likes, like this stream, share it everywhere you can. Thank you, guys. I love that. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. Oh, there's tons of you here. Perfect. Okay. Parenting with attachment. What is attachment? Real quick. Attachment is the way a human being gives and receives love from someone else. It's supposed to form a circle of giving and receiving love in mutual care, mutual fulfillment. If you have that, and you learn it from your parents or you don't, if you have that, everything starts to make sense because you build this internal view that you deserve to be loved. You deserve to be loved. Your parents are supposed to teach you that. You get it from your parents one way or another, whether they're there or not. And I have personally worked with adoptees who are adopted at birth, aren't told that they were adopted at birth, and they still grow up with these problems and they say, something's not right. I feel like I don't deserve love. I'm insecure all the time. Then they find out they were adopted and it suddenly starts to make sense. We know when we're with our parents and when people aren't our biological parents, and it does make a difference. You can still get love, and adopted parents are fantastic, but I have seen that attachment problem time and again. I'm going to talk to you guys about how to address that tonight. Thank you, people coming in. That's awesome. Please like this, drop this, hit the like, share this so more parents hear this, so we can help more kids, we can help more families, a better world. Better world starts with better families. So, attachment, giving and receiving love. When parents give that and say, you deserve my love, that unconditional parental love that only a parent can give, that, by the way, both parents have to give. Otherwise, the child's brain says, why is only one half of this equation giving me the love? I must not deserve it. Dad must not be here because I'm not a good kid and I don't deserve his love. Happens a lot. So, where does that happen? Where do we learn that? We learn it in the proactive things that person does to love us, as long as we perceive it as being loved, as long as we perceive it. The child has to perceive it. It's not enough to just love the kid and say, I'm doing this for you. They have to be able to receive it, understand it, put it in context. When we do things wrong, when someone's depressed, too depressed to spend time with their kid, they're just moping all the time, they're tired, they're exhausted, they're run down, they have to drop the kid off at daycare and can't spend the time with the child, a trauma happens to the parent, they have to focus on that, and they're away from the child. Anything that can happen, if context isn't put in place, the child starts to blame themselves. I've worked with so many young kids, 12-year-olds, even people into their teens, who say, I don't know why, but I feel like my parents' divorce was my fault. Anyone in here? Anyone in here have a divorced set of parents and kind of felt like it was their fault, even if that's totally irrational now that you're an adult? Yeah, if you have, drop it in the chat. I'm writing the chat. If you guys have any questions, you want to throw those up, drop me some likes and say, "Yeah, that was me." Throw them in the chat though. I don't want this to just be me teaching and ranting at you guys. Throw some questions in that chat and blow it up. I'd love to read that. I promise I'll keep an eye on it and read it as we go. What the child learns is, I will either be loved, so I deserve love, or I will not be loved in the way that I perceive as being loved, so I must not deserve love. That's what the child believes. So, parenting with better attachment really comes down to loving your child and making that love known in a way that the child perceives and putting into context any complicated pieces that could be misunderstood by the child and make the child feel like they aren't loved or that they don't deserve to be loved. My child, yeah, you did. I hear you. You're not alone. Thanks for throwing that out there, but you're not alone. I've worked with so many people who say, "I have no idea why I feel this way, and it doesn't make sense." But I believed for the longest time my parents' divorce was my fault. Little kids, I've got four of them myself, and when they throw a block, and over here something happens way away from the block, they think they did that somehow by throwing the block. The child's brain, it learns cause and effect early on by that method, but it also mistakes a lot of things and says, I'm responsible for everything. The child's brain does. And we carry those assumptions forward into the future so that we start growing up and we think, man, I don't deserve to be loved. Nobody cares about me. I have to constantly earn approval from other people. People aren't going to put up with me. People aren't going to want me. Normal stuff to happen. I mean, bad, not healthy, but unfortunately normal in our society. So how do you overcome this? Well, number one, being aware of it. Number one, being aware of it and understanding attachment, understanding that context is king in this relationship. You can never, ever, ever be a perfect parent. I'm certainly not. I was a licensed marriage and family therapist for years. It's a 9-year process even to get your license. I was in the field for years, and then I retired so I could coach internationally. Now I coach parents on every continent, and I still am not a perfect parent. I will never be a perfect parent. Perfection is not the goal. It's context. It's building in context and explaining when you're having a bad day. You explain that to the child and say, "This is not look at me. This has nothing to do with you. Here is what is happening to me." And you break it down in simple terms for the child to understand. Relationship terms. Someone at work is making bad decisions and it's making me frustrated because now I have to clean up and I'm trying to think of how to help them and it's making my brain tired and it's not your fault. I will come play with you. Give me 15 minutes to solve this problem over here, but I love you so much. I will come play with you in 15 minutes. Can you give me 15 minutes to focus on this person who's not acting right? That right there, that will save so much heartache instead of saying, "No, get out of here. I don't have time. Just get out of my face. I'll come see you in a little bit." Totally opposite. The first message I sent with the context, that will preserve good attachment. And because you're investing the time teaching that child that context, their brain says, "Oh, they're putting all this time into explaining to me. They're focused on me, and they're still going to put all that aside and come play with me in 15 minutes." And they said they love me. And then when you follow through in 15 minutes and you say, "Hey, you are so important to me. I can't wait to come play with you. Here I am." It reinforces to that child's brain that consistency. And I tell my kids that all the time. "Hey, I'm here." And I'll tell them, like, I don't say, "Oh, I'm so busy." I say, "Hey, Dad's real busy with work, but you are so important to me that I would rather come here and play with you. Here I am. We've got an hour for my lunch break. I'm going to spend the whole time with you because I have so much fun playing with you. You're such a good kid." And they puff up and they just can't stop wiggling because they're so happy. That's the kind of context you got to give. It's cheesy and it would never work in a romantic relationship, but it works great with kids because they eat it up. And you're programming them to understand, okay, this person actually loves me. This person actually loves me. I did not think we could share this much. Thanks. My child. Yeah, most people don't. Most people think, well, the child's not going to understand. It's not even worth talking about. It's just an annoying thing that I have to deal with. I don't want to burden my child. Keep in mind that our kids, they watch us like hawks 24 hours a day. I've got my kids just follow me around from room to room, watching what I do. Every little tiny, tiny movement, even if they're just out of the corner of their eye, they're watching what I'm doing. So I have to put into context everything that I do. And they call me on it. If I make a mistake and I act weird, and I say, and I do something, they go, "Dad, why did you just do that?" I have to calm down, take a breath, and give the time to invest. Give the time to invest and help them understand because, they're going to be kids for 12 years, 18 years legally, 18 years legally, 12 years until they become sort of apprentice adults, which is what teenagerhood really is being an apprentice adult. So 12 years of being a total legal child and 60, 70, 80, 80 years of adulthood. Good to prime them and give them that context. Take the time, stop, and slow down. That's what parenthood's about. Okay, creatine, it's good to know that age appropriate sharing is good for kids. Absolutely. And you can dumb it down as simple as you need to. Kids do really well with relational talk. And you say, like, if someone is is doing something awful in our life, someone that I know, not even connected to us, but someone I know, it's one of my friends or somebody I know is acting bad and is not doing what they're supposed to do, and I have tried to warn them. And you know how when you do something that's not right, I try to warn you, I try to explain you, and then we work together and we make it right. Well, this person isn't responding well. And you put it in this context and you say, okay, then I added this consequence and I'm trying to do this. And you're telling them a story. Kids, every human being on earth, we learn best through stories. That's why so many teaching, so many religions, philosophies, national propaganda, everything is stories. We learn from stories because what we may not understand academically from hearing things, we can pull out from stories. We can observe other relationships and understand what they're like. So I show them what my relationships are like and how the consequences come out, and those are huge. I don't want to say dumb it down, but you simplify it to the level of language that they're at, and you explain it to them in those terms. And it also helps them wrap their brain around it themselves, because then they learn, oh, you're not just going to explode at random people and blow them off. You give them multiple chances and they're still not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, so that's inappropriate behavior. That would bring consequences. It also makes them secure because they know you're not just going to blow up at them for nothing. It tells them stories about how some stranger, you're level-headed with some stranger, you're going to be, excuse me, hopefully better with your family. I usually ask for a hug if they want to, so my kids feel empowered helping. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, that's good. A lot of people are afraid that asking their kids for hugs while you're upset is going to make the kids like feel that they're your emotional dependence, or something like that. If you're doing it every minute of every day, yeah. If you're just always a mess every single day, that's a problem. But keep in mind, we are modeling behavior for our kids. That old saying, do as I say, not as I do, that is the opposite of good attachment. Because what you're doing is you're modeling bad behaviors for them and then telling them, don't do this one and only thing you have learned how to do from me. Do something you have never seen before, and you better do it flawless or I'll be disappointed in you. If you model for them, hey, I'm tired, I'm depressed, I'm sad, say depressed, I'm sad, I'm frustrated, I'm tired. Can you please give me a hug and I will feel better? And if you do that a few times, you model that, that tells them it's okay for them to ask that too. And you can just bald face tell them that too. See how I'm asking for a hug? If you ever need a hug, you can ask too. All of this is good parenting attachment. Good parenting attachment. It comes down, I'm going to tell you a secret right here. It comes down to this: context. Context helps you build a self correcting system. You don't have to build a perfect family. You do not have to build a perfect family or be a perfect parent. You need to build a self-correcting system. That's what your family should be, is a self-correcting system. So that when something goes wrong, and it will, and it always will, there's always something wrong. When something goes wrong, thank you guys. I see the likes popping in. If you guys could like this, share it, blast it out. Let's get more parents rolling on this and more families healthy. I'd appreciate your help on that. That'd be so great. If you build a self-correcting system where your kids can come to you and you've given them all that context and they know you love them and they know that your love for them is unconditional and that they can't lose it in a moment of being imperfect, and that you're not going to blow them off and destroy the relationship. I see my cha, thank you for sharing that video. If you don't just blow them off, you build a system where your kids can come to you when they have a problem, even a problem with you. They can say, hey, this thing happened, you did this thing, and here's how I received it, and it really made me sad. And they could just leave it at that, and then it's up to you. How do you respond? A loving parent who fosters good attachment will say, I am sorry that I made you sad. Not, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's a total cop out. Not, how dare you. But, hey, I'm really sorry. I did not want to make you feel sad. I am sorry that I did. How can we get through this together? What do we need to do? What needs to happen next? We language, not just you language. What do you need to do? What do I need to do? What do we need to do? Building the team building system like this. What you're doing is you're also vasopressin bonding and oxytocin bonding and building serotonin and building in dopamine and doing all kinds of things together as a group, as a family. You're building all kinds of stuff that bond you together, build the trust. All of that factors in and builds the attachment, all of it. So it makes your kids resilient against in the future thinking there's something wrong with them, thinking they don't deserve love, accepting people who treat them like dirt, accepting bad relationships with people who don't respect them, and just saying, well, I guess this is the best I'll ever get. No, they'll think back and remember my parents were never like this. My mom wasn't like this to me. She talked to me. She didn't just smother me or anything with her problems, but she talked to me. She gave me context. I understood where she was coming from. What is this person doing? And they'll know to get up and walk away from that person when that person's not doing what they should be doing, because they know there's better out there, because their parents show them better. Okay, creatine. Sometimes my kid takes their sadness out on me after I apologize, and it's hard. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kids do that. Depends how old they are, but kids are little natural manipulators. And you got to make sure that you show them, and I call my kids on that too. I say, I understand you're frustrated. Do not be manipulative, I tell them, because manipulation hurts relationships. You can tell me that you're sad. What can we do without the manipulation? How can we talk about this together without the manipulation? Because you don't have to do that to get me to do what you want. What are you needing from me? What can we do? That right there, I call out the manipulation point blank with my kids. And I don't say you are being bad because you're manipulating. I say let's not do that because that hurts relationships. That's the one big thing that would really hurt our relationship is manipulating. I won't do it to you, so please don't do that to me either. Let's help each other. And that usually steers them back on track because they know they don't want that either. Not really. Kids want to be good. They want to be good. It's just sometimes they don't know how. Why am I child? My kids are 21 and 19. We have a super relationship. That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. And they're at a perfect age where you can boost that. See, it's not just about avoiding the bad. It's how good can you go? Like there almost is not an upper limit. You can boost that attachment. I've got over on my YouTube channel. If you check my bio here or just Google YouTube search Adam Lane Smith, I've got deep dives on there. Top 5 ways to boost your child's attachment. It even works when they're adults. I've got all kinds of attachment pieces on there. If there's any attachment concerns at all that your child may have, if they're, teen 12 and up, I've got a video over there called What is Attachment? And you can watch it together and start a family conversation. If you are married, I'll talk about this here in a minute. If you are married or long-term relationship with the child's other parent, and they have bad attachment, and you're trying to fix it, and you're trying to kind of fix that relationship because the relationship determines a lot for the kids. Watch that video on my YouTube channel, Adam Lane Smith. What is attachment? Hit that up. It's a great resource. Watch it together. It'll start the conversation because you'll have a shared language about this attachment. And if you do that with your kids, I mean, shoot, even your siblings, whoever you have in your family or friends, watch that video with them. Great boost. Great start to the relationship. Sometimes just talking about the relationship itself, sometimes that's a good win. So I see the likes. Thank you guys. It's great. If you guys would like this video, spread the word. We'll still get this going. If you could share the video, I want to get the word out. I want to help as many parents as we can. I think you guys too. So thank you for coming for this. Parenting with better attachment. One thing I have seen is that a lot of women, when they have broken attachment themselves, usually like anxious attachment style, which means you get into the relationship, you're very approval seeking, very quiet about your needs, and it doesn't seem like a big deal. And then they get married, and usually the pairing that I see is an anxious attachment wife and maybe an avoidant attachment husband. Who's a little bit more standoffish. I see that a lot. I've written a book about this called Exhausted Wives, Bewildered Husbands, where they get along until they have kids, and the kids get a little older, and they start seeing the kids exhibiting anxiety symptoms and feeling a little detached, not as connected. They worry dad doesn't like them very much. They're stressed out, and the mom starts instinctively saying, man, I wish he was closer to our kids. So she tries to pressure him and start him doing it, and he doesn't like it because she's making him change, and he doesn't understand why. And it gets so ugly. It gets so ugly. And as the kids get more and more anxious, her resentment toward him starts to grow because she's perceiving him as a threat to the kids. And then he doesn't understand why because he's the same as he's always been. And then he starts getting more resentful himself. Then they start fighting more and they want to make it work, but they have no idea what the real problem is. And then he keeps trying to fix the relationship with his wife, but isn't fixing the relationship with his kids. And that just makes her mad because that's the goal, is fixing it with, go fix it with the kids first before you even talk to me, kind of thing. I'm not the priority, they are. That's usually what they're saying. And 5, 10 years, 15 years into the marriage, kids are in their mid-teens, and she's waiting for the last one to hit 18 so she can get a divorce. He has no idea what the problem is and thinks there isn't one. He just thinks she's being dramatic. I have seen that is probably 95% of divorces that I worked with, and divorcing couples, and people coming into couples therapy when I was a licensed marriage and family therapist. Probably one of the biggest groups I saw right there. That's why I wrote a book, Exhausted Wives, Bewildered Husbands, over on Amazon. That is the biggest group right there for divorces, especially in that early middle age. It's so real, and wanting to fix that for our kids is so real too. And that's what's at the heart of those divorces, is wanting what's best for the kids. So many women are trapped in those marriages and frustrated trying to make it work, but maybe they don't have the language about attachment, or how to explain exactly what's wrong. Or maybe their husband has avoidant attachment pieces and refuses to even talk about it. And so you can't even have the conversation. And he pats himself on the back and says he's a great dad, and the kids are depressed and miserable, and they have no connection to him at all. I've seen that a lot. Oh, so much. Oh, my heart breaks for those kids, and for the mom and for the dad, for all of them. It's a situation no one should have to be in. And we fix it. We fix it by educating about attachment, like you guys liking, spamming this channel out there, getting that out. That spreads the word. You guys talking about it, you sharing this with people in your life, or just talking about attachment. Whatever you learn here, you don't even have to use my name. Go out and talk about it. Talk about the attachment piece. Watch that video on my YouTube channel, Adam Lane Smith. What is attachment? There's a link in my bio if you want to jump in there. Man, this is so big. This is so big. But how do you fix that? How do you fix that if the other person is giving your kids bad attachment, and you are doing everything you can to give them all the love and care in the world, and the other parent is not? Is it enough? Can you do enough? I hate that question. I hate that question because it's messy. No, you can never overcome having a bad parent and make it as if they have had two good parents. No, you can't. What you can do is give them all this education, give them the context. You don't have to vilify the other parent. Most moms and stuff don't even want to vilify the dad, but the truth seems to vilify him because he's just not doing what he should be doing. If you can do this, if you can provide this context, educate about attachment, and do your very best, you may not have kids who are completely happy in childhood or even in teens, but as they become adults, you can start having more and more of these conversations. Get them used to having the conversations. That's the number one thing I can tell you, because then when they're ready to have the conversations, they can come to you and they know how to do it, and they know that it's okay to do it. Those are the two biggest pieces. If they don't know how to have the conversation or have the language around it, and if they don't know that it's okay, really genuinely okay, if they think that you're going to get mad at them or be disappointed in them, or that it's going to be embarrassing, if they think it's going to be this awful experience to talk to you, that's the key. Make sure they're comfortable knowing that they can come to you, and make sure they have the language to talk about it. If you can do those two pieces, and then give them the space they need, don't completely go hands off, but give them some space and say, hey, you know what, I respect that. I would love to talk about this. The second piece to that, though, third piece, if you need to talk to your kids about attachment, don't make it about them. Don't make it about them. Don't sit them down and start saying, hey, do you have these feelings? Hey, is this a problem for you? Hey, don't do that. I've never seen that go well. Almost never, I should say. Almost never. Because if a kid can handle that, then they usually have good attachment. That's not the problem. The best way to talk to your kids about attachment, stories. Again, frame it in context of stories. What has your attachment been like? What has your attachment journey been like? This is what I felt growing up. This is what it was like for me. I never felt loved. I never felt cared for. I felt like everything was my fault. I felt like I couldn't talk about things. I felt like nobody wanted me. Even when people tried to be nice to me, I didn't understand it. That is how I felt. And then I found out about attachment, and it's the way that we give and receive love. And if we get the wrong messages, we learn the wrong lessons. And then we just think that's true. And I've learned that it's not. And then you could say, do you ever feel that way? That's when you do it. You open up about yourself first, and that helps them bond to you and helps them normalize it and say, this is where I'm at. It's okay if you're here too. Are you there? Can you understand that? Are you there? Can we do this together? If that's you, I want to do anything I can to help. Let's work on it together because I felt that before. It's okay that you feel that. That is the most successful approach I've ever seen that even works with teens. Teens are the hardest ones when you go to and say, "Hey, I think." It doesn't work that way when you make it about them, but when you make it about you, helps big time. Helps big time. And especially what I have found is enlisting their help in the family and saying, here's how my family acted when I was little. It did not go well. I don't do well with that communication. Here's what I do well with. If you can talk to me like when there's problems, talk to me about the solutions, bring things up right away. The good relationship behaviors, teach them and make it about helping you. Give them adult responsibilities like that. That's that apprenticeship adult period. Give them good responsibilities to take care of the whole family with good behavior. So many times, us parents, we teach our kids what not to do, but we don't direct them on the good behaviors that they could be doing or should be doing. I'm seeing all the likes, guys. I love that. It's helping span the channel. There's a bunch of guys, a bunch of people in here. Please share this. Please like it. It's helping a lot. Thank you. This is cool. I love seeing people come in. If you have questions down here, anything at all adjacent to this topic, post it here. I want to interact with you guys. I love talking with people, not just at people. So post it up. I like how you guys are doing it. Thank you. Um, Best thing we can do is give our kids directions on how to live good relationships and have good relationships and maintain them. It's one of the best things we can do. So if you do that, explain it about yourself, make it a story, and then say, have you ever felt this? Right? It works when they're like 3. You have this book like trouble, like fear of going to the potty. So you pull out this book and it's a story about someone who had a fear of going to the potty. And they're like, wow, I've had that fear. And this is the reason in so many kids' books, the one of the characters will be afraid of the dark because it's something kids share in common. They can sympathize with that character and they can say, oh, I have that fear too. Make it a story, and then show them what to do about it. And you can be as explicit about what to do about it as possible and just say, here is what you do. And blunt, simple language, not dumbing it down, but simple language. Simple language about relationships and about context. And again, provide that context. Provide context for everything. That is what I have learned. That is what I have learned. Because if you don't, you get what we had a little bit earlier, right? The kids blaming themselves for their parents' divorce. Because why? Because so many parents sit their kids down and say, your mom and I, or your dad and I, we just don't love each other anymore. We like each other, but we can't get along, so we're splitting up, and it's okay, everything's fine. And they're like, the world is ending, and you're telling me that it's totally just fine, and it's all about feelings, and it's what is really going on here? I don't want this. Please, please, please don't do this. You're like, nope, it's just gonna happen, and their brain is saying, holy crap. Love is not enough. Relationships can just explode. I can never trust anything ever again to be stable. And somehow this is my fault because I'm begging them not to hurt me this way and they're doing it anyway. That's the context. That's the context. So provide a little more context. You don't have to give the ugliest details, but providing context is key. Context is everything because then they can put it in the corrective order and they can learn the lessons from it. Because the only lesson they're learning from that explanation is that love won't last and that they can never count on relationships. Remember that everything you're doing and telling them is a lesson that their brain is drinking in. It is, even in teenagerhood, even as in the teenager ages. So boosting attachment. All this is the rough stuff. All this is like, don't do this. How do you boost attachment with a kid? Here's how you do it. Here's how you do it. You spend more time with them, number one. Spend more quality time with them. One of the best number one things I tell parents. I had people come in with oppositional defiant kids. I had people come in with kids who were doing some of the most harsh things you could imagine, acting out hardcore and brutal stuff, brutal, even violence, drugs, even with little kids. Um, 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day with each child, no screens, sitting down, looking at each other, maybe playing a game, playing a card game like Go Fish, coloring pictures together, doing a puzzle together, something where you're working with your hands, both of you, and giving you a little small task to do together and playing a little game together, like a simple 100-piece puzzle or something like that, and talking while you do it. Talking while you do it. And all you do as a parent is ask questions. You lose this game if you make a statement. But if you just ask questions and questions and questions and questions, this is not the time to lecture. This is not the time to stop and say, "Hey, wait a minute, we need to talk about that." You just ask questions, and when they answer you, you ask questions based off of that answer, and you ask branching questions. Over on my YouTube channel, Adam Lane Smith, I've got my very first video on there that I ever did. It's a PowerPoint with me talking, and it is how to master conversation. It talks about motivational interviewing, which is key for this. It talks about branching questions. It talks about how to keep someone talking for hours on end, where all you do is ask questions. Do that with those kids for 10 minutes a day. At the first, they're going to say, "I don't understand." You explain to them and you give them the context. "I love you so much. I want to build a tighter relationship with you so that you can